If you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced rider, I guarantee you're gonna scratch, chip, crack, or damage your foil at some point in time. You might hit a rock, scrape it in shallow water, or even damage it while you're in transit. Foils are expensive, and when this happens to you, it's super frustrating. It also greatly reduces the value of your foil if you're looking to resell it later. The good news is that it's actually fairly easy to repair your foil yourself, and if done correctly, you can save yourself a lot of money. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process on how you can fix your foil and tell you exactly what you need to do to make it look new again. I'm also going to introduce you to a secret weapon for repairing your foil or your foil board on the fly. Let's get into it. Hey foilers, Blaze here with West Coast Wing Foil, and today I'm going to show you how to repair your foil if it's cracked, chipped, or scratched, or damaged really in any way, shape, or form. When I went on a trip to Maui, I hit a big rock and made a big scratch along the leading edge of the front of my wing on my foil. I also had some nicks and scratches from general wear and tear. Luckily for me, my good friend Rob Mulder at Roberts Composites walked me through how to repair it, and I wanted to share the process with you guys to help anyone else who's got a damaged foil and is looking to do a repair. For those of you who don't know Rob is a local board shaper based in Vancouver, Canada. He makes the best foil boards on the planet, so if you're in the market for a wing foil board, make sure to check out Rob's boards, which I'll link to in the video description below. So on a high level, what we're going to be doing in our repair is we're going to be smoothing out the damaged area with sandpaper so there aren't any harsh edges between your undamaged foil and the damaged area. We'll basically feather out the hard scratches, which does involve sanding a bit into the undamaged parts of your foil, but only a small amount. Once that's done, we're going to be filling the gaps, cuts, and scratches with our adhesive glue. And finally, we'll sand and polish the whole area to make it look nice and smooth and basically back to its original foil condition. The first thing I wanted to go over was the materials that you're going to need for the repair. I'll include a link in the video description to my repair kit that includes everything that you need for the repair and saves you the hassle of sourcing different items from different places. So the first and most important ingredient is actually a top secret ingredient that every foiler should have in their kit. Most people think epoxy is the best adhesive for foil and foil board repairs, but in fact there is something that's much easier to work with, faster to dry, and can be used instantly to repair any small damage in your foil or your board. This amazing adhesive is called Instacure or cyanacrylate glue. This is a gap-filling glue that you can buy at most hobby shops. It dries faster than epoxy, is just as strong for small repairs, it's easier to use, and it's amazing for on-the-fly repairs. If you crack your foil or board, you can actually put a dab of Instacure on the damaged area to seal the area and go back in the water within minutes of doing your repair. The cyanacrylate dries when you take away oxygen, so it actually dries faster when you put it in water than when you just leave it out in the air. So this is a great thing to have in your bag for any ding or crack that happens to your foil or foil board. The next thing you're going to need for your repair is sandpaper. You want something around 80 grit sandpaper for the initial sand of the damaged area, depending on how damaged it is. Then you'll want 400, 600, and 1000 grit wet sandpaper. The wet sandpaper is much finer grit, and actually you use water to help clean the area while you're sanding and prevent the glue from clumping on your sandpaper for a nice smooth and even finish. The next thing you're going to want is polish. Polish is basically the finest grit sandpaper that you can use. It will make the area that you polish really look smooth and give it that professional finish when you're done. You then want to have a small block that will help you sand and masking tape to tape off the areas around your repair. There are a few other items that you're going to need to help your repair go faster and make it look more professional. Graphite powder is basically powdered graphite that you can mix with the glue to match the color and density of your repaired area. Instaset is an accelerant that you can spray onto the glue to help it dry instantly, so you don't have to leave it overnight to dry, and you can start your sanding and finishing your repair in the same day. It also helps to use mylar sheets or just packing tape to keep over the area once you fill and shape the damaged area to help it dry smoothly and evenly. The last items that you're going to need are latex gloves to protect your hands from the glue, a small cup to mix the glue and graphite powder, a stick or application tool to mix the glue and graphite together, and a few rags to rub the polish and clean the area. As I mentioned before, if you want a kit ready to go with all the ingredients for your repair, check out the link that I'll put in the video description below. The first step in your repair process for your foil is to sand the damaged area smooth. You'll take something around 80 grit sandpaper and sand around the damaged area. You don't want to go too wide beyond where the damage is because that's going to create more work for you to sand smooth later. You'll just want to work around the damaged area so it's nice and smooth and there is no slices or cuts extending outwards. With 80 grit sandpaper, get out the harsh cuts and scratches so it's nice and even and as smooth as the grit will allow you to go.
And try not to get scratch marks way out to there. Okay, you can be a little more aggressive with more power in there. And now you're sanding. Okay, so stop, and then you just feel it with your hand. So yeah, you've gone far enough now.
So it's smooth. You feel it's smooth.
And then this here too, what you want to do with these guys, see this really deep one? That one you can actually use a little bit of edge. And what you do is called feather edging. So that there's no real like hard like chunk where that was. So it's actually like a more of an even cut. See how it's kind of feathered out?
Yeah.
So Rob highlighted that for any deep scratch, you can edge the sandpaper into the groove to try to smoothen it out, but not have such a harsh, sharp edge. You don't have to worry if there are some bumps or minor scratches because that's what we'll be filling with the Instacure. But overall, just try to smoothen everything down and feather it so it tapers nicely into the undamaged area. One of the most vulnerable parts of a foil is the leading edge, so odds are if you've used your foil for an extended duration of time, there will be some nicks or scratches along that leading edge, as well as the area that's damaged. So if you are doing a repair, it's really easy to also go over your leading edge and get it to an almost new condition without much extra work. The leading edge is a key part of the foil, slicing through the water, so it will perform a lot better with a seamless and aerodynamically shaped leading edge.
You got to just keep it in mind that you don't want to change this edge to bring it down. So if you actually start to
down flat,
yeah, if you sand too far this way, you're bringing this split in the water down, which will affect the foil. So we'll just round that off. And then go on this side just a little bit, like down there, and
so
then it'll be good, and then we'll mask it off.
Once you've sanded the scratches and leading edge smooth, you're going to tape around the repair areas. Now, Rob makes it look really easy to tape the leading edge, but when I tried it, I was a lot slower and less precise. All you're doing for the edge is trying to just keep a small part of that edge exposed, just basically the part that you've sanded. You can then tape around any areas that you also want to repair to protect them from getting unwanted adhesive splashes that will require you to sand and polish a little bit more if that hardens. So save yourself extra work and tape around your damaged area. Once your foil is taped up and sanded, you're ready to mix your Instaset adhesive and graphite powder to match your foil. The Instaset adhesive is what fills the scratches and cracks to restore your foil to its original shape. You'll take a small amount of the Instaset with graphite powder to make it nice and dense, a nice dense consistency. When you're mixing it, try not to get it too spread around the cup. Just try to keep it in a concentrated area. Otherwise, it's going to stick to all the edges and you're probably going to waste a bit of the adhesive. Gloves are highly recommended because if this glue cures with the graphite powder to your hands, it's going to be there for quite some time and it does not wash off with soap. So definitely grab some gloves, save yourself getting the glue and the graphite powder stuck to your hands. The next thing you're going to do is apply the cyanacrylate and graphite powder mixture to the damaged area. You don't need too much, and if you do put on too much, you're probably going to get this smudged look, or you'll just have to wipe some of it off.
Okay, so it's mixed in. So now we're going to go like this. You're going to take it over here, and then you're going to just put it on there, and then with your glove, you're going to just work it in.
Okay.
Like that.
Your goal when you apply the glue to the foil is to make it look feathered and smooth across the entire repair.
So you come here with your fingers, seeing it
Get it away?
You want to have a nice feather away from there. You get too much. See how that blends over better?
Put a small amount on the parts of the damaged foil and you'll be able to spread the glue with your finger across the area or all the area that needs to be repaired. For the leading edge, Rob showed me a really great technique for creating a really smooth repair and making that finish look really professional and smooth without any imperfections. You take a small amount of the glue, put it on your two fingertips, apply it to the edge, and then just pinch your thumb and finger together and slide it along the leading edge. Now, I actually didn't do this quite right the first time, and Rob showed me a really neat trick to do this much better and get a way better result.
And watch this. This is how I do edges. So you kind of go along, see how I spread it on, and then you take your two fingers and you just go like that all the way down it. See that?
Okay.
Yeah, so you kind of spread it on.
Like that?
In something that you didn't quite see what I did. This way first. See how I put a bead
rolled
on?
It?
Yeah, so that's the important bit. This little bead here. And then when I come back over it, see that bead is there? See it?
Oh,
See it
I see, yeah.
So that's what you missed when I did it. See, and now I'm getting that edge right back.
So basically what Rob showed me is to create a bead, which is a little ball of excess glue in between your fingers when you pinch your fingers together and run it along the leading edge. This just makes the edge nice and smooth and maintains the shape without leaving bumps or imperfections. It's going to fill the scratches and nicks as you run your finger along and leave a nice and smooth finish. If you had any glue or strands that got onto your foil during your repair, just wipe them off right away so it doesn't dry and require you to sand it to remove later. When you're sanding the damaged areas, you're trying to get all the hard edges and scratches smoothed down. Then, when adding the glue, you're filling all the gaps and trying not to have too much excess to have to deal with after it dries. Once it's dried, you'll be sanding the excess glue to get it really smooth and have the expert finished tapered look into the foil's original exterior. I mainly used 400, 600, and 1000 grit wet sandpaper in addition to the polish. When you're sanding the excess glue and smoothing out your repair, you can use a block to help, but be careful not to flatten out the shape of your foil while you're working. You always want to remember to keep a smooth, rounded shape for optimal aerodynamics where the water is passing across the foil. After sanding it with the 400, I switched to the 600 to get an even smoother finish. With the 600, you basically want to make sure that you get all the bumps out. Once you've done that, you can move up to the 1000 grit and get an even smoother finish. With wet sandpaper, you're always adding water to make sure that it cleans the excess material and prevents the sandpaper from getting clumps of glue and material stuck to it. That would impact the sharpness of the sandpaper and result in sanding that could be uneven. So always remember, just keep applying lots of water while you're sanding to keep everything clean and working well. With the 1000 grit sandpaper, it's going to feel pretty smooth. You want to keep checking and feeling the area as you're sanding to see what impact that you're having as you're going, so you're not going to go too far. Once you finish with your 1000 grit, you can remove the tape that was marking the damaged area. You may have a small bump where the tape was, and you can just go over this bump with your 1000 grit to get it smoothened out. I went straight to the 600 grit with the leading edge because there wasn't any major scratches or damage to that leading edge. I didn't push too hard, and I made sure to sand at an angle to maintain the smooth rounded edge and the composition of the foil that was already there. I didn't want to flatten out the shape of the foil of that front wing. I kept checking it with my fingers to assess the smoothness and then kept sanding the areas where I felt any roughness to the touch. Once it felt pretty smooth, I removed the tape and did the same thing as before. I took the 1000 grit sandpaper and smoothed out the small raised area between where the tape was and the undamaged foil. With wet sandpaper, apply water to the area that you're going to sand, and when sanding, you want to put enough pressure on the area so that you can hear it cutting. If you don't hear it cutting into the material, you're not actually doing anything. Keep your fingertips flat when sanding so you don't create any unwanted grooves. After the area you sanded is smooth, you can switch to the polish. You'll put a small amount of polish on the area and use a clean rag to rub it in. With the polish, you really need to rub hard. You can just use the back and forth motion, and the key thing to think about, the two key things to think about, are weight and friction. The more weight and the more friction you can apply, the better the result is going to be with the polish. If you're not getting enough cut into the area, you can go back to the finer grit sandpaper, which is what we did. We used a 2000 grit sandpaper with light pressure to get a bit more cut into the area before going back to the polish and getting it really smooth and everything polished out. If you want to fix any minor scratches that are just aesthetic and don't go too deep into your foil, you can just go over them with 1000 grit sandpaper and then polish them, and that should smoothen them out completely. For most people, you're going to be really impressed with the repair, and it's going to look super professional. There might be a slight discoloration or mismatch, or it may look not quite as glossy as the original foil, but the more you polish, the better it's going to look. So it's up to you on how much polishing you want to do and how much energy you have to put lots of pressure and lots of friction into that polish. For me, I was just happy that the foil didn't have any cracks or scratches, and it was going to perform just like it did out of the box. It didn't look perfect, but it was pretty close, and I think to the untrained eye, you're not going to notice the damaged area once I did my repair. And that's all there is to it for repairing your foil. If you guys do want to get our repair kit, check it out at westcoastwingfoil.com. All you're really doing to repair your foil is sanding it smooth, applying a bit of adhesive, and then sanding that and polishing that so it looks nice and flush with that original shape. If you guys have any questions on how to repair your foil, throw them in the comment section below. Happy to get back to you. And I'm curious if you guys run into any hurdles or need any additional information to make sure that your foil repair is done perfectly. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel and visit westcoastwingfoil.com. We have all our suggested gear when it comes to foils, boards, wings, and accessories all listed on there. And with our website, westcoastwingfoil.com, we only list our top recommended items in each of those key categories. So if you have time, check out westcoastwingfoil.com and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.